we
Oh,
still have Carolyn is on here. So Carolyn's in the background today, guys. She's going to be moving things over from Rumble into the main chat so we can pay attention. So happy Sunday. I'm not sure about you guys, but it's been a roller coaster ride of a week, energetically. For those who are not aware of the energies, they may be having anger outbursts. They may be under the weather, so to speak, energetic upgrades, colds, flus, etc. So it's coming in all directions. And remembering that these energies have always actually been here, even though they're talked about much more now. It's our vibrational changes that are allowing us to feel them more, sense them more. It's just like any of the portals and the gates, and all that energy is accessible all the time. So never feel like you've missed out on something important. It's just talked about on specific days. But they're available all the time if you work on your vibration. And so for those of you that might be new, I'm Tanja Powell, Adventures for Connection. It's all about getting you connected with yourself. So bring in some healing, talk about the energies. I have a frequency that is my voice, which is really important to assist you. And we do custom meditations. We have a membership that's super fantastic. You get to see us once a week live together. And then I do meditations as well as healing sessions once a week. So it's fantastic value. So we're so grateful you're here today. Norma Jean, how you doing?
just day by day. That's all we got. And then when we're in those days, all we got is those moments. So just working through those each time, I get a chance and opportunity just to see, what's coming up. These energies have been a little bit off the charts. And, it's a lot of it has to do with, recognizing that I have been creating new habits that have not been so good for me. And it's one of those where I get so, me, I get so focused that I don't pay attention to other things that are really important for me to do for myself. So, it's one of those that I'm out of alignment hugely, because I've been sitting and working, on website and stuff like that. So it's one of those that, as you can tell, this one's sitting a little lower than this one is, and my neck's off. So it's one of those that at this time with these energies and being so strong that we as individuals keep up with the whole being. That's the form and as much, the light being, the beautiful souls that we are. And, I am a prime example. And I'm standing here before you, letting you know that even I still have a lot to improve upon. So make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure y'all are moving like Tia spoke to. Move your body. Do some stretching. Ensure you're moving that energy, because when you sit for too long, that's already compression upon, the very value important, foundation in which this form carries us through with. And take care of you.
Yeah, Norma Jean, do you think you can pull up that Taurus field photo, the one that you were already using that I shared with you today?
Yeah, let me see what I can do here.
It would be good to share that. And I'd like to also bring attention to, nobody's perfect, by the way. Everybody will be affected in some aspect or some way. So as some of you may know, I puked last week. I literally ate dinner and then it came back up, and then I felt absolutely fine afterwards. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So we're all being affected in different ways. And it was a reminder for me as well that, my most important things, I just have to go a day without being consistent with showing myself that love and compassion and working on self and making sure that I'm being the best version of myself at all times. And it's easy to get astray, very easy. So yeah, 6 naps today. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I nap pretty much every day at this point. And I've been absolutely getting outside. Yeah, some hives turned up yesterday. Interesting. Yeah. So we've got things like vertigo, nausea, definitely sore necks, because we tend to carry a lot in here. And there's quite a few stretches. If you just look at some different stretches you can do, you're going to have a hard time seeing me. But if my hand is faced out and I'm pushing it out, and then you can very gently push out and just pull a little bit. You can even just imagine pulling and not even touch, but just to get that stretch going. And so that is a very good one to do. There's many qigong, tai chi. I do many little movements in the morning. And this morning I did a 21 ohms. Now that's your vibration, your frequency. So there's so many tools in the toolbox that you can have, and you don't have to pull them all out every day. You can pull out whatever resonates for that day. And so that getting out in nature, that grounding, 10, 15, 20 minutes plugged into the earth. If you can't get bare feet on the earth, a tree, remembering we're electromagnetic. So we are both, we consider hands terminals, feet terminals. So they can be utilized for assisting you in that. Sometimes it's a matter of turning on a really fun song you love and dancing. Dance it out, shift your energy, find something funny to watch, do something that brings you joy. And I'm going to keep saying that. Whew, it's a big one right now because we're also, we're also worried about other things that we forget that being in that state of joy is going to shift everything else. It's going to vibrate everything else into another frequency for you. Yeah. And today's latest addition to Tanya's toolkit is actually to plug the ears and hum and play with it. Hum a song. Your frequency tunes your energy. And so that's, the 21 ohms, if done properly, really works all of your entire system and gets that energy moving around so it's not stagnant. So hopefully some of those things assist you. And yes, we're going to create a list of it. Just making a note. Norma, what are your favorite things to do to get your energy shifted?
Gardening. Anything to do with gardening, whether it's just working in the garden or it's planting flowers, mowing the grass, cutting back, keeping the yard as tidy as I possibly could. That was probably that, or I would be building something, something out of wood, creating something just to keep my body moving and to release that energy through a creative process. That's a great thing about, having hobbies, is that those hobbies give you the chance and opportunity to express, no matter what those emotions are, that, regardless of what that expression turns out to be, that what's important is you're utilizing it to express that energy. So you're not allowing it to sit and not move, which in turn, when we do that, that's where we begin to understand that the body begins to show us those ailments, those discomforts, and the dis-ease of the body because we're not moving those energies. So definitely find something that really gives you the chance and opportunity to express, whether it's journaling, drawing, painting, getting out in the garden, whatever it may be. Move that energy. And, if it brings you joy, that much better.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of emotions going on right now too, which is energy and motion. And so when one is going through the week, and especially if you're working and you're picking up maybe other people's energies, but you're getting through your week, you're managing, right? Versus thriving. And we all want to be thriving. That is a definitely our birthright. And so we had last week at our full moon ceremony, somebody that was just needing to purge, and around full moons, it is a purge time. And it's really, really, really powerful. So things like tears are okay, right? It's okay to cry. That's an energy release. It's okay to puke. That's an energy release too, right? So it's whatever is going on that needs to be, maybe there's something you've been putting off and not dealing with, and it's just ruminating within you. So remembering, especially when dealing with other people and having boundaries and having compassion for them being on their own journey and allowing them to be them, but it doesn't mean that you have to put up with the way they're behaving, which goes against you, right? But you're also not a victim. You have the power, the ability to set up a boundary with it. Sometimes we need a break from some people while they finish going through what they're going through. There's never judgment. Never judgment. It's just accepting and allowing. And as we go through this process and around the world right now, there's so much division. And the division is done on purpose, because if you're divided, you're not focused on yourself. If you're focused externally on huge world events that are going on, you're not focused on you. It's wherever your attention goes, energy flows. And only you can choose where you put your attention. So I highly recommend that you add some self-care and self-love into your daily routine. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Did you find it, Norma?
Yeah.
Awesome. We're going to show you here what is the dun dun dun.
Do you see that?
Nope, it's a white screen right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Take your time.
This is always the hard part.
Yeah, you have to have picked the right screen to do so. So.
Yeah, hang on just a second.
All right. I'm just going to pull you back out so it's done there. So this torus field is part of our energy centers. Now we're bridging science with spiritual, and let's just chat a little bit about spiritual, because I did a whole series on YouTube around spirituality versus religion. And now if religion is working for you and you have a common unity and it feels good for you, I got nothing against it. But if religion is trying to convince you that you need to look outside of yourself, this is part of the challenge, right? Because now you're still giving your power away. You're giving your energy away. So this is, and we'll jump back into that in a moment. So let's go to the full screen. There we go. This is a torus field. Now, many don't realize that this is when we stand on the ground. You can see what's happening. It's coming up through the feet, and energies are coming down from above. So we are like an open vessel up and down through our energy centers, and your energy centers are attached to your nervous system. And your nervous system, actually, they converge all around these energy centers. And so at about 6 inches below the feet is one that keeps you grounded to earth. You've got one at your root, the base of your spine. It's your root chakra. It is red, and it's all about safety and security. And a lot of us have been sitting in our lower chakras for so long and kept there intentionally, because that means we're never connected to our antennas in our head, so to speak, where we can actually know our own truth and get clear communication and follow our gut instinct and follow our intuition. And then above the root chakra is the sacral. And actually, we should have a diagram for this one. We'll get something posted up for you guys. And the root that goes from the root to the sacral. Now, men and women both have sacral, and the women and men have an energetic womb as well. But in a woman, the womb, think about it, you're like a portal that allows souls, babies, to be birthed into this realm, right? It's such a divine, it's part of the divine of all, the divine birther, the divine creator. It's such a beautiful process that we get to go through to be able to do that. And it's such an honor. And then above that, there's one at your belly button. This one is amber in color, and it is called a drone chakra. I call it the drone chakra because it's the one that you can send out for remote viewing. Maybe a stretch for some, don't worry about it. It's more important. The other ones are more important. This is just like an added one that's come in. And then we have our solar, which is our energy center. and it's yellow like the sun. And as it's yellow like the sun, and now I can kind of show you guys, it sits below in your upper stomach, and it's your power center. Like, like literally, I will put my intention there and I'll be like, power up, let's go. I need a little more energy, please. And so you can do that. And that's one of those important things about this balance. And then on the chest is the heart chakra. And remembering that the heart is not a pump, the heart is a vortex. Actually, if you uncurl the heart, it's all one piece. So it's not doing this, it's pulsating like a vortex of energy. And so the lungs are more like a pump as they blow up and come down, right? Hopefully that makes sense to people. And so that's your heart chakra. And your heart is the first organ. And I'll get Norma to add to that. Tell us about the first organ that starts in the womb when you're a baby. It's the heart.
The heart. Yeah, sorry.
I know you were traveling.
Just a little. Yeah, especially since I can't see what's going on the screen except for what's in front of me, which is what we've got up here.
I removed it now, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go. And I'm just like, well, she's got this. So yeah, it's the first organ to form. Yes. And the reason being is because it's almost like, the way that I express it, that keeps it a little simple to understand what I'm saying. It's like taking your t-shirt and turning it right side out, so to speak. It's like taking your light and you're putting it into a container, and that heart is that container, and it begins to hold it. And then whenever enough gets in there, as it's forming, as T says, it rolls itself because it's a vortex. And the way that it moves is it pumps from the bottom to the top, and how the heart keeps the functioning of the body regulated and moving, and sending out the frequency and vibration. Yeah. And that's the reason why the heart's so important when we come to matters. That's why they always say, always get to the heart of the matter. And whether it becomes something that is tangible or not is up to you, depending on and determining on where you're coming from, how you're feeling about it, what you feel is best as far as where to go from here, as far as your focus or your intention. Because the one thing I come to understand was that when I get to a place that I have a choice, and I feel that I must make one of those two choices, then I've already lost myself. Just because we have a choice in front of us doesn't mean we have to make either one. Sometimes it's good just to step back and say, I'll let my heart guide me to what the truth of how I need to handle this, approach this, create this, whatever it may be. And that's where we begin to understand the difference of energies. Your zodiac signs, your houses, just energies. I'm just using those for examples because that's what they are defined as now. So I know that if I get to that space and place where if I'm not taking that time and doing the deep breath and allowing myself to become present before I make a choice, then I know that if I do not take into account what's about to take place, then I split myself. I cause duality in that moment.
That's beautifully put. And there's so much more. We could do a whole show just on that. So remembering, if the heart is not a pump on its own, it's the energy that's moving it. And there's a really good video on YouTube. You could just simply look up "the heart is a vortex," and I'm sure it'll pop up. Now it's a bit sciencey, but he literally shows you how it works. And so the more you understand the body, the more you understand yourself. And this is why I'm saying, do what you can control, focus on you. Because when you do, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like the body innately knows how to heal itself if given the right environment. and the right energies. So let's continue with the energy centers so we don't get too far off stray. So higher heart is about here. And quite often I'll have people tap there to get out of their head and to get more into their heart. Right? And then we have our throat chakra. And the higher heart is where you should be operating from, right? Between the heart and the higher heart area. Focus there, and that's turquoise. And the heart itself is green, like this really pretty green. This is malachite. Shala gave that to me for my birthday. And this little pyramid, malachite's for manifestations. So it sits right by my computer all the time. And so we want to make sure that we're with our throat chakra, then we are speaking our truth, our authenticity, which is the highest vibration out of all. So if we look at Hawkins scale, there's several scales out there, but if you look at the scales of energy, fear is way down here. And that's why fear is constantly pumped through the news, because it keeps you in your lower energy. So you don't make you don't make the best decision. You just want to go away. And so then you'll follow what everyone else is doing just to, okay, everyone else is doing this, so I'm going to do it too. Because it takes away that decision from you and it makes it easier to operate. And it gets you out of that feeling of fight or flight, really. And so we don't want to sit there, but authenticity is one of the highest, right? And love. And love is a state of being, not an emotion. Love is a state of being. Love is when you can have compassion for anything and anyone. And realize that when you judge something else, you're actually judging yourself, because we are all intricately connected. And that this isn't our first time in this earth school, so to speak. We've been here many times before, and we've all played the villain role because it is part of that soul expansion, so to speak. And you will see when you can sit in more of a neutral spot, and you will get glimpses of it to start with, where you can even have compassion for something that's going on. And you're like, oh, well, I don't have to spend my energy on being angry about this or judging this, or right. So it shifts you and you protect your energy more. And that's, if you want to be selfish about it, that's the best way to be, right? Is I'm going to protect my energy right now, because this is a really good time to do that. And speaking your truth with the throat chakra is speaking your truth in a compassionate way. So when we are in an interaction with someone and energies, emotions are rising higher, and I like to say fiery, right? And then, as they elevate, when you retort and you react, now you've just fired them up even further, and you're not helping the situation. But if you can just observe and wait, don't say anything, and then sometimes even saying, wow, are you okay? Because you're really angry right now. And that might diffuse it, or you might need to just exit for a bit and then come back to the situation. But we want to be compassionate with our voice. It doesn't mean going around and telling other people what to do and spewing your anger everywhere, even though you might be angry about something. And it's okay to be angry. It's how do you disperse that energy? So you can write things out. I love to burn it. I'm a fire sign, so I'm like, just burn it. You can chuck it in the bucket, right? You can speak it out, so you just get it out of you. You can box it out. You can go for, right, a hike. Just move that energy so it's not stuck within you. All right? And then we go up to the third eye, or the pineal gland. And that's it doesn't mean necessarily that you're visually going to see things. Some people do. I get more images shown to me as if it was a memory, or it's like your imagination is so incredibly powerful. I could say, can you imagine sucking on a lemon right now? And just imagine you putting that lemon wedge in your mouth and what happens. So that's just imagination. You're not actually putting a lemon in there, but your body's like, puckering, and maybe your mouth is watering a little bit. So this is how powerful it is, but it will help you to see truth, because you will get immediate responses to things like, that's not true. Like half of what I witness, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even putting my energy towards that. There's no truth. Or how does this support me now in this moment? So, and a lot of people do have visuals. Norma Jean has a screen that drops down. Tell us more about that, Norma Jean.
And it happens, and sometimes I would just get a huge download, and it's like watching clips go by really fast for me sometimes. So it just depends on, where I'm at, how open I am as to how much of what I'm being given I I can either at that moment, if I'm present, I can see and feel and get a sense of what I'm being given. And then there are times that I can get like snippets if I'm focused somewhere else, and yet I'm getting a download because what I'm focused on is bringing that download to me. So it just all depends on where I'm at, what I'm focused on, if I'm present, or what's going on in my environment. So yeah,
Yes.
it's like having a computer screen in front of me sometimes because I can look at things, and it's like, but to me, that's me, that's my brain being remapped and getting organized, so that
Mm,
way everything is placed where it should be in order of where to draw from that information that sits in the brain, that is pretty much deemed knowledge by the time you tap into it and you bring it forward, because it taps into a part of the DNA, um, the strands, and it just activates certain levels of that strand. And what we're working towards is activating all 12 strands. But that's
yeah.
that's something that's going to take time. So it's just how much of that strand does it activate. You don't want it all being activated at one time, that because that would just overload the circuit. Your nervous system would just explode.
Everybody hear the cat. He's been going through some stuff. He's definitely feeling the energies too. Okay, so then we go from the third eye up to the crown. Now you have, this is why I'm saying we're bridging science, because if you go and look and do some research, because I always recommend that, and you go and look up uh, nerve energy centers and chakras, and you have two screens side by side, you can see the difference. And actually, I'll probably run a bit of a short on this one and post a video because I think it's that important. So we're always bridging science and spirituality in this, right? And parts of the religious story as well, because it's very relevant in some ways too. So I never discount it. I just merge it a different way. And so the crown chakra, you have a crown of thorns, just like Jesus, of neurons that run around here. And mine actually are activated constantly. I literally walk around and I can feel going on. It is part of my communication process. It's how I get messages. Um, it's how some healing happens for me, constant upgrades. And so these are all nerves. And then energetically, they're called chakras. So we're not trying to say it's all woo woo, because we've got some science to it. So, and it's important to remember that. Now you have another one above your head, right about here, and it's called the star chakra. Now that one opens you up, I hate to say it, outward, but energetically, to your higher self. And this may not resonate with you, and that's okay. But as a soul, your entire soul cannot fit within this vessel. Only part of it comes in, like 3 strands. So that's all that's needed. So you've got a whole nother higher self, oversoul, whatever you want to call it. I like to say higher self because it is really the one communicating and operating. And you have an opportunity to connect with other energies, other beings. Maybe you're connecting through vibrations and timelines to other versions of you, because you're in more than one at any given time, because that's the capacity that can be had. I'm not going to go further with that right now because I do feel it could be a bit of a stretch. If it's not, ask me to keep going. And I just want to do a quick run through on some of the Rumble chats. We are seeing you guys. Shay, that's awesome. Shay's lost 30 pounds. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how the body can burn more energy just from the energies around us and coming in. Yeah. And Freedom Liberty Lover says, no naps here, but definitely neck and low back pain. Absolutely. That root chakra is definitely being activated quite a bit. And Eddie over in Australia, I so believe you're correct, Tanya. We are transitioning into energy beings. I believe eating will slowly require less. Yes. And a lot are eating toxic. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Danielle is asking, how do the channels between the chakras work? So if we look at it this way, it's just like we had in that drawing, coming up from your feet through the energy centers, out the top of the head, and then down again is our torus field. It's our energy field. You can expand, contract, your auras within that. Your soul is highly involved in that because it's energy. And so this is why we say, don't lose your power, because if you're angry or you're sad, it's going to shrink, right? You're going to contract. We want it expanded because then it's easier to go out in the world. Whenever I'm feeling like, I was in a secondhand store that my daughter, 18 and a half, wanted to go shopping. I'm like, no problem. So I take her because we're really looking for a specific pair of shoes. Fine. But of course, we end up in a few other stores. Well, one of them is a vintage store. And as soon as I went, I'm like, oh, boys, okay. And I expand myself so that, I'm more expanded. But I lasted probably about 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to go stand outside because there's so much energy in all that clothing from all those people that wore that clothing. It's like I could feel it. And it was like, okay, I don't need to put myself in this situation. So it's one of those things. And Jade even came home tired, which is very rare for her. Yeah. So she felt that. Norma, what are your thoughts on this energy?
It's just this high. It's
sorry, Taurus, the energy Taurus field, and
oh,
managing that.
You say energy, everything is
yeah. No, that's okay.
As far as like where our own Taurus is concerned,
yes,
as long as we're staying present with ourselves and we're allowing our feelings to tell us what's going on instead of ignoring them or pushing them to the side or questioning them, then when we're able to understand what this energy is, we step back and we're in the observable position. We allow it to show us what's going on so that way we can move it. So that way we can broaden our toroidal field that much more because we raise our vibration because we move that energy.
Yeah.
So it's, going into these places, I didn't even go because I knew that I just was not in the position and place to be near, to be out in that energy.
Yeah. I'm used to it from Powell painting. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And me, I'm just like, not today.
Yeah.
Not today. And it's not because I can't, it's not that I can't handle it, it's I choose not to.
Exactly. So it's a choice all the time. Yeah. So Lady Biba, great question. Is that why my head feels like it's on fire? Yes. It's totally normal. So you're creating new neuros and you're opening up. So look at it this way. Yes, that channel runs, the middle of the toroidal runs up through the center of the body and then out, right? And as soon as you start to heal energetically, get out of the fight or flight and fear, and you move up, you go through the chakras and you connect, you heal the lower three, and you're still going up and down through them, and then you come into the upper three. And when you work on more of that compassion and you're working on your energy and you're more in a love vibration and you're not playing the victim, now it's firing up very much around here because you're opening up your energies more. And so it's being grounded in this earth plane, but being connected spiritually as well. And I'm not worried about, I'm going to say this because I can already hear it. I'm not worried about demons and entities, and they're not going to come to you unless you're in a low vibration and you've allowed them in. So don't be afraid. This is part of this. And yes, sometimes you might feel like you're gonna need to recover differently because now you're vibrating higher. And what's the opposite of that? You need to rest. So the higher you vibrate, you can fly for several days in a row, but eventually you can't keep it up there. You're gonna bring it down a little bit. And this is why I always say it's like a roller coaster. But the better you get, the less it goes up and down, the more it's smooth like this. And so, yeah, you're welcome for the explanation. Happy to explain. And Norma's crown is the same way. Zippity doo dah day, right, Norma Jean?
Yeah. You talk about this being the star, but in my perspective, I
Yep.
mean, it is a star because that's where all the energies meet.
Yep.
Energies that we exist within, but it's also the energy of more of the self, because when we make those choices and we do divide ourselves, we divide ourselves first because we make a choice.
Yes.
So, whether you look at it as, negative, positive, good, bad, it doesn't matter. When we make that choice and we feel we've made it from a knee-jerk reaction, or it be that we make it because we feel we may not have the time to really sit with something, we divide ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's how that division comes about, is because we think we have to make every choice and we don't. So as we come to understand, at least for myself, as I come to understand that I don't have to interact, I don't have to reply, I don't have to have a response, I don't even have to make a choice. And I've come to find for myself that the more aware I'm in my presence and what's going on in my environment, determining on what the conversation is determines if there's a choice point in that conversation. If there's a choice point, most of the time I'm not going to make a choice. If anything, I'm going to present more questions. I'll present a question. So what that does is it keeps me in that balanced position where, as I'm going through this process each day, I'm more aware of that I'm not as separated as 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's understanding about keeping ourselves whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Energetically, emotionally,
Yeah.
in all ways, actually. I know Shay is asking about the exterior of the Taurus field, the energy field. You could consider it almost an invisible grid. The whole thing is like an energetic grid, right?
Look at the cellular structure. Tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. So explain that a little further.
The cellular structure, it's like the vessel, that the organism that we are, just like Earth. Earth has its own skin, which is the dirt.
Yeah.
So that is its first defense against anything, whether it be an asteroid or the various acts of human beings making choices. But it's the same thing with the Taurus field. It's like that's your cloak, or it's your force field.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your first line of defense as far as your energy is concerned, whether it be that you're holding that energy in closer to the Taurus field that is you. Because when you look at the smaller Taurus field, it is of where the organs are. Okay. And it's with these chakras, the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the sacral, and the root. Okay. Those are your 5 encompassed chakras, which helps you understand where you're at in your system, whether that be your chakra system or the system of your nervous system, and things like that, if you're balanced or anything like that. So that bigger Taurus field is like your cloak or your force field. So that way you're not letting anything come in, that will bring your vibration down, but you're not expelling more than you should as well. So that way you're not overextending your energy and depleting yourself.
Yeah, and I could add to that too, as far as that. So this is also about balancing the masculine and feminine within the body, And so and the masculine is the doing part, whereas the feminine is more of the intuitive part and nurturing part. Not to say the masculine, but we all have that. All men, all women have this within us. And so when we get this balance, so I know that I used to do, and it's a habit. It was such a habit. I even catch myself doing now. I'm like, oh, I feel the need that I need to do something. Sometime then, okay, is that to move energy, or is that because it's an innate habit that I have within me? So I was running Powell Painting, and I was like a hamster on a wheel, going as fast as I could because that's what I thought I had to do, was work harder. Right. And so that's part of that energy thing. And then that depletes your energy. So it's that balance between the two. Balance between the two. That's, yeah, balance between the two. And when we connect with other people, this is why when we're underneath 6 feet, our hearts will connect. When someone feels safe and they feel heard. So if you're listening compassionately to someone and you're not listening to reply, but listening to hear, to honor that they're sharing something with you, your hearts will connect and you'll have a heart to heart connection. Think about somebody you love that you feel very connected with, or think about when you sit down with a small child and you have a beautiful conversation, or your pet, right? That you have a connection because your hearts are connecting, because you're intermixing with the fields and you're giving to each other, right? So it's a beautiful, beautiful scenario. And it's important that we feel heart to heart connection with those that are closest to us. Otherwise, it's just not the same. Norma?
I want to be able to touch upon what
Yeah.
Shay is asking here about, the shape. What shape is around our field that connects us to each other? There's a net with more points we can't see yet. Even though it's your protector, but it's also your it encompasses your energy.
Yeah.
Because it can be so broad and you can extend it, so far that what you're doing is if you're vibrating at a like when we use the scale. So say you're vibrating at the level of love, so to speak, David R. Hawkins. If you're vibrating at the level of love, your Taurus field, the one outside, the one that you are, can go as far as 500 feet, if not further, 5,000. I believe it was like the avatar can be 5,000. So what you're doing is you're affecting that environment. So as you're doing that, you're also sending out a magnetic sequence, which draws the ones that are vibrating at your level. So you see, it doesn't just emit, it also draws. So when T was talking about, the only time you're going to come across an entity that has that, what you would say, lower vibratory state, because I don't even want to call it demon and stuff like that. It's an energy that likes nefariousness, okay? And if it sees that you're vibrating at its level, it's going to come to you. Same exact thing. When you bring your vibratory state down, then your Taurus field goes with it. And then it's like the switch on Starship Enterprise. Spock, what's going on? Why don't we have our force field? Why aren't we cloaked? And it's because, it's short circuited, so we're having to fix it right now. So that's basically what you're kind of dealing with when you're going through the motions. I'm not saying don't get angry. I'm not saying that it's not okay for you to express when you're in that, but do understand that where you're at and how you're expressing determines on what you experience. So if you are angry or if you are upset, express it, but express it in a way where it does no harm. Then what you do is, as soon as you are doing what you need to, because we need to express that. We're humans. We have to move that energy. Do it in a way where it has compassion. Say that you're angry. I'm angry because, but I know that it's because of this trigger or that trigger. Because the sooner you let that go and the sooner you recognize and realize that, okay, I'm letting this go. I'm not having to do it where anybody is being harmed by my actions. Then what I'm doing is my vibratory state might be a little bit lower because I've gone down a little bit more in how I'm feeling. But the sooner I let it go, express it, and know that no one else has been harmed, I'm going to start coming back up. And by that time, depending on how quickly you can recover from that, you have nothing to worry about to begin with, but just carrying on.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Danielle. I find it almost second nature to read the people around me, their emotional state, a great thing to be able to do. But it's a two-way street. My emotional state others can read. Is this related? Only if they're aware of energies. So only if they're connected to their own energies. So that's awesome that it's second nature for you. We all have this ability, but we're often not aware of it. And more are becoming aware of it, that energetically, when you go into a space or place, you can feel the difference. So I
Yes.
don't think that they're able to read your thoughts yet, not quite, but definitely, if they're connected with their energies, they may be able to pick up on your energy, especially if you're good energy. So I would focus more on that and wouldn't read too much into it.
No, it's
Yeah.
just energy.
Yeah.
Your energies recognize energies. In the best way I can express this, if you don't mind, we have the 12 houses that have the 12 zodiac signs. In those 12 zodiac signs, we also have the planets. Every single one of these are energies, period. That's what they were from the beginning. They just began giving names, labels, definements, positions, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So, but the beautiful thing about astrology is when you come to understand what astrology stands for and gives you that empowering understanding that the reason why they did this was because it gave us the chance and opportunity to know something, because they knew that at some point in time we was going to need to know this information because they knew it was going to be kept from us.
Yeah.
So when we understand the zodiac signs, we understand that there are two, and all it is an opposition of the one. That's it. It's defined as negative and positive. The energy moves, and that energy that you're utilizing is going to attract the opposite. And this is where our choices come from. It doesn't mean you have to choose either one. It just only means you have to recognize that they are both present in that exact moment. So as we are coming to that place where our greatest power is our feelings and what our body tells us every single time. And when you stop questioning that and just let it sit and just say, oh, okay, I felt that. I get that. I understand that. That's something I need to pay attention to because I'm being told something before I hear it, before I feel it, before I smell it, before I see it. You get what I'm saying? So your force field is that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well done. Yeah, and we'll talk more about those 12 houses, and we'll talk more about these energies, because I think it's actually important. The more you can connect with yourself and your energy centers, the better. All right, this is Eddie over in Australia. If you could pop that back up again, thank you. I'm noticing a shortness of breath. It feels like I'm a chain smoker without the couch, and I haven't smoked for 10 years. I think it might be hypertension or something like that. I feel a tad off. It's the energies. It's not hyper. You can label it
There's
if
those
you like.
definements and labels again.
I wouldn't label it. Don't label it. So can you focus more on your breath, Eddie? And so this is part of these, and a lot of people are saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Because a lot of people are suppressing still. So what are you suppressing and not speaking about, right? And making sure that finding someone that you can talk to about things in your life that are dear to you, that maybe you can't express otherwise. So yeah, you know where to reach me. Go ahead, Norma.
No, I was just wanting to, just kind of give Kibra a shout out that,
Yeah.
you see where you are. I know who you are. And, it's beautiful to be able to make that connection at a level where someone sits in a position and place that is so recognized and understood for what it is at this moment in time, especially now, because so much is taking place because of the energies, and some of the people and some of the humans in form just don't have the capacity to be able to make it through what these bodies needs to do. So, given that words always comfort, but it's the energy that helps the calmness.
Yes.
You have that balance.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful position that
absolutely.
you're in.
Absolutely. And Eddie said he just got the word piggy bank, I believe he means. Yeah, piggy bank.
Piggyback.
Absolutely. No, piggy bank. Look at the next one. Piggy bank.
Ah,
So he was given that word. So yes, you have a reservoir of energy. We don't ever want to deplete it to the point where we're in bed and depleted. We want to make sure that we're managing it all the time and adding more than we're using up. Absolutely. That's a great analogy. 100%. Yeah. It's important. Well, that's because you feel you should be doing something, and sometimes we need to just be. Andrea, it's okay to be. Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier, that it's natural to feel like you're supposed to be doing something because that kept us outside of ourselves all the time. But when you sit and you just are with yourself, you're going to have some stuff come up and it might feel a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. Because once you move through it, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Once you deal with it, write it down, write it out, you'll feel better. Yeah. If
you
you're,
understand.
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
no, that's okay.
So I was just going to say, when you sit there and you use the word I, and then you define something that you're being, and it may not be, you've just judged yourself. So you just cause duality within you. Stop judging it. Just be with it.
Yeah.
That's where you understand how to be in the flow of things. And you may not understand it. It may be something that's out of the norm for you, but you see, that's the beauty, that when we do something that is out of consistency of certain things that we're utilizing or we're used to doing, because it was about doing. It was always about, what should I be doing? There's something that's got to be done. This is this and this and this and that and the other. And we overwhelmed ourselves. Then we taxed our nervous systems because we're in anxiety, because we feel like we need to get this, that, and the other done, or I should be doing this, that, or the other.
And then all of a sudden you're in bed with the flu and it's actually just your body going, we got to get rid of this energy. She's not doing it the right way, or he's not doing it the right way. So this is what we're going to bring on now. Yeah.
So, I mean, you sleeping, look at it this way. At least, give yourself this perspective, or anyone that's watching this. When something's out of sequence for you, recognize it. Utilize it as a way to allow these energies to show up for you, to assist you in what it is that you're needing to see for self. Because we either stop or we're going to get stopped, because it begs our attention.
Okay. All right. We've got a couple things we've missed. I'm just going to pop back up. Eddie's asking, could be just on internet overload as well. Anything you're consuming too much of, your body, your brain does not know the difference between a movie, this reality as you perceive it per se, or your imagination. You're that powerful. And so if you are consuming a lot of information, your brain perceives it to be real. Whether or not you're consciously like, oh, I know this is just part of it, and your subconscious is collecting that data like crazy, and eventually it's going to lower your energy. And so it's balance. It's all about the balance. Yeah. And so let's talk to, because Eddie's also asking about the breath and the stomach. You just want to blow up your belly. Let your belly relax. Quit holding it in. And when you breathe in through the nose, you have this activation of nitric oxide going on. This is why we want to breathe through the nose. And so you activate your nitrous oxide, which is beneficial for the body. And you want to blow up your belly a little bit. And when we breathe in for a shorter count than we breathe out, you automatically relax your vagus nerve. And just do that as many times as needed. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And you probably breathe through your mouth more than your nose there. Yeah, there's some energetic stuff around that specifically, but I would have to revisit it. Yeah. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. So my brother also has sleep apnea, and when he's at home, he must wear an apnea machine. But he's also packing quite a bit of additional energy on his body right now. Yeah. So yeah, it's your body catching itself. The sleep apnea is when you actually stop breathing for a second and you wake yourself up, right? And then you're also snoring. So it's a combination of things. But yeah, yeah. Yeah, nose breathing's very good. We're going to stay on a little longer today just to keep answering some questions for you guys because they're coming in as fast as they're being moved over. So feel free to keep asking some questions if you need it. Absolutely. And just remembering that you get to, and we'll have Brooke back on for musical breath work, but your breath is like a Fibonacci, which is the sacred geometry and creation of all. So if you look at any plant or any leaf, this is the Fibonacci that we get. What are you seeing?
Squirrel.
Oh,
Literally. It's in the window. It was like, just looking in the window. That's the reason I was laughing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. We got all kinds of critters around here that hang out with us. So Fibonacci through the nose, down through the throat, and then into the belly. We want to blow up our belly a little bit. Not too ridiculous. Not too ridiculous, but just a little bit. So you have ways of managing your energy. We gave you several tools today. I do recommend that you might want to write them out, listen to it again, and really absorb the information. You are the driver's seat of this entire avatar. You just haven't maybe fully realized it yet. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to comment on this. Sleep apnea is just a condition that comes on when we, for so many reasons, y'all. They just defined as something that eventually did get to a place where it was just to make money. Okay. But
Yeah.
sleep apnea is due to the lack of us remembering and realizing and recognizing how very vitally important it is to breathe and to breathe properly. Okay. So as T was talking about, the Fibonacci sequence is very vitally important. So if you want to utilize a practice, when you sit to do your breathing, actually visualize the Fibonacci. Actually visualize it. And the reason being is because when you begin to visualize it, the body will begin to respond to that. And it will begin to work with you to assist you to move back into that state of a natural state of being. You see, we're all breaking some habits. I still am. Like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm off. But a lot of it has to do with that there's an order to understanding how to communicate with your DNA. And when we add a visual and we have that visual that gives you the thought that it feels good, and you know that as you're doing this and you're improving, and it becomes a habit because it's something that's vitally important to your state of being, because that's what you are seeking, is a greater state of being. And as you do that, everything else will begin to work with that and fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely. So here it is, guys. Here's what you see. Can you see this, Regine? Have I got it right? Okay,
Yeah.
So it's in everything. It's in shells, Sunflowers, flowers, ferns. Oh, it's
Universe.
universe. Oh, look, it's in your DNA too. Maybe. Nobody's got an actual picture of DNA, so Norma and I are a little suspect about what they're calling it, but it makes sense that it would be a spiral and it would be like a ladder climbing energetically. Whether or not that's really what it physically looks like, we're not sure. Yeah. So there's your examples, guys. So yeah, it's always there and always there. So you can focus on those things and you can look at sacred geometry, right? Metatron's cube, flower of life. There's a torus field up there. Let me pull it down. You can see. So that's an example, right? So its energy is always moving, and you can look at it this way. It's going up and around. Yeah, right? So
Yeah. Get into 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D. You understand? Take that and if you had a way to be able to put that on something to hang and then just hit it and it would just wibble wobble. That's us. That's us. And that's our energy. That's what's moving. And every bit of what you see that flower of life is made of, that's what you're seeing in all the lines and stuff, because we're moving in every direction. And this is where you come to understand a lot about the quantum physics of how atoms move.
yeah,
Atoms are energy. So yeah, it's beautiful because they're all over the place. It's like watching dust that gets stirred up, or you're going down a dirt road and you see all the particles that are flickering because the sun's hitting off all those particles. Those particles are atoms. They're moving.
Absolutely. Yeah. Andrea's asking, noise has bothered me a lot more lately. Do you think that that's the effect of the energy? Very likely. Very likely. But
How do you feel?
Yeah.
What's bringing on the feeling? Because you're saying has bothered you. So when you utilize the word bother, that's a broad word. So how do you feel? How does it make you feel?
Angry.
Irritated? I mean, I'm just saying these words are broad.
Yeah.
You say, and depending on and determining on the individual you're speaking to, how you utilize that word determines on how they respond or react to what you're telling them.
Yeah.
So, bothered is a very broad word. Be a little more defined in what you mean when you ask, because the noise bothered me a lot more lately. But to me, it's like because of your situation of the neighbor and stuff, that's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah. So sometimes it's the environment, right? And so it's a matter of, adjusting that. Yeah. It makes me angry because my neighbor doesn't stop revving his motorcycle. I just put earplugs in. You can't control him. You never will. In fact, the more energy and negativity you send to him, it's likely feeding him, and the more he's doing it.
Then that's
the
a
more you
trigger.
can send him love and compassion, because that's his thing. That's what he's doing. Oh, there he is again. He's probably out there doing, because he's in an argument with the partner or whatever. It really doesn't matter. But that the fact is, only you can allow it to bother you, or you can choose to put on headphones and shift the energy for yourself. Start humming. Yeah.
Hey, and if it's got some vibration or frequency, write it. Just have some music going while you're doing it. Stop being triggered so much by it. Because like T says, you can't change who they are and what they're doing in the life they're living. They're not where you are or present or anything else like that. So yeah, take care of you.
Yeah. But I can say we recently had an experience where the road over, which is a main artery of energy vehicles that go by to get from, there's main arteries this way. Well, it's one of the main ones this way. So it's just above the highway and people use it all the time. Well, they decided to pave it. It took them like 2.5 weeks, like most of August. And not only did we have everyone racing up and down our street, but we had all the work trucks. I couldn't get in and out of my house. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Can't wait till this is done. And so it just made me stay home more, right? It's like, if anyone needs to get out of town, if they'd given me a notice like a couple months ago that they were doing that, I would have actually exited stage left and gone somewhere else for a bit, because it's really frustrating when you're trying to get in and out. But It's out of my control. And so every time I hear a car revving by, send them love. This is going on, send them love. Because it's all we can do. Yeah. We can always talk to our DNA. Ah. I think we're in here's my personal opinion. It's not backing off anytime soon because we're raising our vibration, which increases our frequency, which then increases our frequency. And as we increase our frequency, we're more open to higher energies. It's going to keep coming in. Hey, Cryptid Empress is here.
Cryptid, how you doing? Long time no see.
I haven't seen her since Georgia.
Right?
We all had a beautiful lunch together. Yeah, we'll have to do another round table. It'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always easier said than done, Andrea, but that's okay. It's a work in progress. Yeah. Yeah.
When we, and I want to point this out, and it was what I was reading on last night from Dane Rudger about Uranus and Saturn.
Right.
So when you have Uranus and Saturn in the same house, which is taking place right now, this is where understanding astrology comes in, because you're understanding the energies that are taking place and why they're taking place and why these energies are the way that they are. And it's because Uranus is about bringing about what needs to happen to change and stuff like that, where Saturn is about, finding that that place of saying, well, it's this way or it's that way. And that's where Uranus is moving Saturn in ways that Saturn's not ready to move. But when we look at astrology, especially when we had Tamara on, she spoke about this with Canada and USA. She was speaking about this, and she spoke to it because it's vitally important for us to understand those energies and why what's taking place right now is taking place. Because Uranus is about bringing out and bringing forth what's taking place in truth, so that way that energy can be released through the time that Saturn has been in its position, in its rulership, as they would call it. But it's about how it has affected us as humans, where we became stagnant in certain levels and areas and things like that in ourselves, as well as a whole. So now that Uranus is up, it's like, okay, it's time to get going. It's time to move this energy, because it's been like this for way too long. And I'm here, brother. I'm here to tell you it's time to move. So this is what's going on. And when you come to understand these energies, we come to know that this is why we're feeling the way we're feeling, because we're feeling that pressure. We're feeling that tug and pull that's going on between these two planets of just magnitude that has their ways of moving energy. And so that's the reason it's like why we feel the way we feel sometimes, because it's not just affecting Earth, it's affecting us. And it's the whole, that's where the whole of everything that we come to understand comes from. And that's how we know how to move through these energies.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. And I finally figured it out, guys. You just reminded me. So tropical is the matrix portion of astrology, so to speak. Whereas what's going on in the sky is more of the cosmic. And so this is why I keep saying I can't do one or the other. I need to bridge the two. And so this is why, and Norma Jean's been studying this more and more and more. And she goes down some really fun rabbit holes and then comes back out with all kinds of good information. And it's just a matter of expressing it in the way that you guys can all understand that we're being conscientious of, because we definitely want to make sure we're reaching you and meeting you where you're at, because we've been on this game for quite a while, so to speak, and have, we've come through things and been like, oh, I used to think that. I don't think that anymore. Now I think this, right? And that's okay too. You're going to shift. You're going to change. And so we just always want to make sure we're relevant with the information. So that's why your questions are so very, very important for us. And Daniel says, I cannot control what my brother does, but I can control how I feel about it. The only thing you can control is yourself. I don't care what anybody else thinks of me, because it's none of my business. I can't do anything about it. I just keep being me, knowing that I'm good with me. I love me, all of me. And that's part of this mission, is self-love, unconditional love for self. For when you have unconditional love for self, everything around you will shift. And so sometimes it's about excavating those old emotions that you've had stuff down for so long and letting them go finally. That's what this is really about. This what this purging is going on, is getting rid of stuff that if you're not going to do it, we're going to push it out of you anyway. So we are moving from more of a carbon into more crystalline, into more of a light body. How fast this happens, your guess is as good as mine, because it depends on us as a collective. When you think about a solar flash, we'll think about the soul. It's energetically, it's a matter of when if everyone turned around and said, you know what, I don't care what's going on over there, I'm just going to focus on me. Do you know how many things we would all expand in love, and then boom, everything would shift and drop off and go away? So many things would just, because it wouldn't be given energy anymore. You would have called all your energy back and taken it for yourself. That's my parting words for the day. Yeah. Call your energy back. Call all my energy back to me through all space, time, and dimension. I call all my energy back to me through all space, time, and dimension. I call all my energy back to me through all space, time, and dimension. So be it, and so it is. So be it, and so it is. So be it, and so it is. It can be pretty powerful stuff. Because every time you have a thought, every time you go to an action, you're creating an energy line. Some people call them timelines. And so you want to make sure that you're bringing that back. And there's so many versions of you already out there vibrating, doing different things. You want more abundance. There's somebody out there with that. Yes, Norma Jean, I see you dancing.
No, you reminded me of something. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Look, this is something I came into just yesterday, because come to understand it. Every time I judge something, I split myself. When I do that, I create another timeline.
Ah, yes.
And when we understand that timelines are only created in our days, because every day is a new day. That's where coming in and understanding what the movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, was presenting us with, is to understand that everything happens in one day. So as we master this, each time we come back, especially me, as I continue to master this, the more and more I keep coming into understanding, oh, this is going to be it is so much fun. And believe me, I mean, even today it's been a challenge for me, just because I still have that part of me that allows those energies to niggle me, because they're going to be there. But I just let them, and I make no choices. Doesn't mean that I'm sitting here feeling great all the time. I'm just letting it be. I got to, until I just get to a space and place that I can shift that after I've allowed it to take place. As long as I'm not resisting it, then I'm not in a persistence of feeling it.
Well, then that goes to that saying, when you resist, persist, because you're still giving it energy, you're pushing it away. And therefore you're actually magnetizing it more to you. So it is a lot about just completely letting go of things. Absolutely. B. Watson is asking, do certain food cravings go with chakras, i.e. lemons? So definitely the food color would be related to. So we talk about it all the time. I was wearing, and even what you choose to wear for a day, I was wearing all green earlier, and then I just got too hot. It was quite cool, and I went out for a bit of a walk. And then certain foods, yeah, the more fresh a food is, the higher the vibration that food has, which is beneficial to your system. Yeah, absolutely.
You see the light in it.
All yes. Right. Yes. Norma Jean can, when we go pick blackberries, she's like, no, I'm looking for the ones with the light. But she likes the ones that are really sour. I like the ones that are like sweet, when they're just at the very end in there. So I'm always looking for those. It's funny. It's a good thing we don't both like the same ones, huh?
More for her on that one part and level, and so much more for me on the others, because most people can't handle that sour part of it, or that yeah. What they would call bitter. To me, it's like sour, and I'm like, man, give me that in between stage. It's good.
Yeah. Linda, aw, that's beautiful. That's a release. That's because you feel safe right now, and you're feeling an energy that sees you and feels you. remember, as I sit here with my vibration and I'm speaking, the energy is coming through me, and it's allowing everyone to have an elevated feeling. It's one of my gifts. It's why I speak. It's why I've done this for so long and given, because I know it's needed right now to be felt, seen, heard, to ask these questions that we don't really have many people we can ask questions like this of. Certainly not those around us. And so remembering that we're all souls having this human experience, and like lighthouses, we can't all be side by side by side by side. So we've been spread out to be anchors of energy all around the world. And so, yeah, so many people have been feeling quite alone, but that's why we're here. We're gathering all the little souls, all the stars to come in and play together. Those that resonate. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a very safe space. We don't have any judgment here. So we're very grateful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We wouldn't want y'all to be any other way. All we want to do is be able to give you the tools and the guidance to help you understand that you're so much more than where you are, because we're going through that. We're still experiencing that for ourselves. And the further and further we go, no matter what it is that we're presented with each day, we know there's more. And that's where I come in, and I know I'm going to have just experiential days that's just going to be like, and those fireworks going off in my head, man, it's just like, that's a high within itself on its own for me. So yeah, and to be able to embody that and really understand that and know that the beauty of what it is that T and I are here doing, bringing forth this, our understanding, and knowing that, all we ever want to do is just do what we can to help with that guidance and with those tools that we present you with, because we've been where you are. There are times that we're still there where you are.
Yeah.
It just depends on the day and what's going on and the energies. So yeah, here it's open.
Yeah. And remember, if you go to Adventures for Connection, and it's in the comments down below, and remember to share, like the video, share it out if it's relevant, that there's a free draw. So if you sign up for the free newsletter, and we don't spam you, that you will have an opportunity to get a free one-on-one with me. And so we also do Wednesdays I'm on, and I do more healings on Wednesdays and still discuss energy and what's going on, because it's really relevant at this time to realize that, what you're going through is not abnormal. You don't need to run to the hospital. Lots of people are having pop awakenings, meaning that they're connecting, and it's like having voices in your head. And so it feels weird. So there's quite a bit going on, and we just want to create a safe space for everyone. And we will never try and change you. We do have a membership. Yeah. And there's a couple options on there for that. But right now, if you just sign up for the newsletter, you get some custom information, and you get entered into a draw for a free 1-hour session with me. They usually go about an hour and a half. So yeah, that's our gift to you right now. So, all right. Norma Jean, parting words.
Stay whole.
Yeah. Yeah. We see you. Yeah. We love you right where you're at. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not broken. You're right where you're supposed to be, wherever you are in this experience. And that's the most important part, I believe, is that there's nowhere you need to chase. There's nothing you need to do except love yourself, manage your energy. Yeah. Absolutely. Right? Yeah, and that's why we gather. When two or more gather in my name. Yeah. Love you too, Andrea. Yeah, Andrea is part of the membership.
Say my name. I'm just
We have a lot of dancing songs lately too. So yeah. You don't know how much we appreciate you. When we come on here and do these lives, we get as much as we give. So there is an exchange going on here. Yeah. And we appreciate you very much. So we're sending you much love today. We're going to sign off for now. Remember, you do you. Even everything in the past that you regret, it's okay. It brought you to where you are today. Man, I could have a laundry list of the shitty shit I did throughout my life, and so can she. So if we can forgive ourselves as these black sheep that fucking rebelled and went against everything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did what we needed to do. I'm just saying. And I can only do it from what I knew and what I was given.
Exactly. There's
no angel here.
What the heck is that anyway? It's part of life experience.
An angle.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to sign off. We love you very